What I think is funny about that is that people say that they all love Ryanair, but no one wants to copy that model. Well, but I feel like in Australia, we are like held to the fire.
How you see actually the collaborative scene between influencers and brands here in Australia?
You haven't disclosed this as an ad. I'm really trying to pursue mainstream media.
Hi everyone, this is Michael speaking, and I'm so happy that I am here again with the Sydney edition. And now I'm happy that I can introduce you guys Jeremy Franco. Maybe some of you already know him. For these ones who don't, Jeremy, could you tell us like how you became a successful creative content creator?
Thank you so much for that intro. Hi, I'm Jeremy Franco. I am a content creator here in Sydney, Australia. I make comedy videos, if you will. I started making skits, and I don't know, I just got started because I loved to make videos. I really enjoy what I do. I love to make people laugh, and that's always been the inspiration behind how I got started and what drives me even today.
I know that's the question what probably like you heard it a million times, but do you remember when you started? What was like your first video or first content you made it and people like it?
Wow, no one's actually asked that question, surprising. People always ask me what's the first video that took off.
Okay.
But in terms of the first video I made, no, I honestly, I couldn't tell you because, as I said, when I was in high school, I used to post videos. When I was in university, I used to post videos. When I finished, I would take a camera around my campus and film everyone. And it was just always something that I loved to do. I never, ever thought that it would be something that you could turn into a career. Never in my life. I got my degree. I got my business degree, my media degree. I was working in sales for a tech company, which I was doing last year up until May. So I would have never, ever dreamed that.
So the transition to become like a, let's call it professional content creator, like that you get to actually paid for it and you don't have to do any other jobs. It's kind of fresh thing like for you. It's first year.
Yeah. So I've been doing it full time for about a year and a half now.
Nice.
And it's been going great.
Oh, yeah. Because when I actually met you, it was the event from the Australian TikTok where you were like a main host and they were like asking you for the question about how to actually run collaboration with the brands and things like that. So I realized that you kind of role model of it. Yeah,
which is wild because I used to be sitting in those audiences, like not that, I used to work in agencies. I used to do all these things. And that's also why I think that I do like speaking to agencies because I get both sides. I've been on the other end of things. There are so many content creators out there who have grown up and since they were in high school, they have started making content, which is great. And I'm jealous of them. But a lot of them don't get the business side of things. They don't get how things are actually run on the other end. So that's why I feel like coming from that world, I understand both how it works behind the scenes and now in front of the scenes.
Nice. Very nice. Because you also are working with the big companies like or content creating with the big companies like Netflix or Uber or the other ones. How this happened actually? Where was the transition where you did the content for people and stuff like that, and then some of the companies realized like, hey, this guy, we like him, we would like to help, we would like to make him help us with the brand, with the communication on TikTok or Instagram or whatever. When this happened first time maybe? Or
I guess it started really slowly and it always started, you don't get a big client like that, right? I mean, maybe some people do, but not me. I would get inquiries from small businesses that maybe wanted to send me some products in exchange for some budget. And I was like, oh, wow, this is so cool. And then it started with small businesses who would pay me maybe like $100 or something. And I would be like, oh my God, like actual money, like for a video. And through then it parlayed into more bigger businesses and bigger agencies. And then I remember Meta had reached out and this is when Reels was first launching.
Okay.
And they were like, we'd love you to make content on Reels. So that I was getting reached out from platforms. And then when I started getting inquiries from big brands like what you just said, Netflix and Uber and stuff, that to me was surreal. And I didn't understand how that side of the business worked in terms of how much do I charge? Like, they asked me for my rates.
That's tough one.
I don't know. I'll do it for free. I'm just happy to be here.
But you used to work on the agency side, so you can know a bit about like maybe this is too much, this is like too less, like let's send it to the middle.
I did, but at the time, we were working with big people, like celebrities.
Oh, okay.
I didn't know the small,
Yeah.
the small influencer starting out,
Okay.
what they would charge. So yeah, I would message lots of friends who I knew luckily in the industry, and they sort of helped me guide it. But yeah, it is quite new when you first start it and start getting all of those inquiries from brands. It's a whole different world.
Was that the point when you started with big brands, then your parents realized, okay, that the influencering is kind of job?
No. For those who don't know, I make content a lot about my parents. I dress up as my parents. I'm originally from India, and my parents are very strict, and they're just very classic. They wanted me to be a doctor, a lawyer, an accountant. Me getting a business like media degree, that was me going rogue. Like that itself was like, what is he doing with his life? So imagine me pursuing content. So my parents, I mean, I still think at the end of the day, they would prefer me to be a brain surgeon. But
Eddie Stanford, like Priya, or what is the name?
Yes, like Aparna or Priya or all the other characters that I do, they would love me to be doing that rather than me dancing around on the internet. I'm sure one day they might like be impressed, but today, still to this day, is not that day.
Yeah, I found out on your Instagram actually in a bio something like sugar, spice, and basmati rice, which I like. What does it mean for you? Or is that something like deep?
It's nothing deep at all. Literally, it's just something funny that I thought. The rice that I eat is basmati rice. It sounded funky. It's from like it's a reference from the Powerpuff Girls, if anyone used to watch that. But yeah,
okay,
that's that.
I found you through the TikTok, and it's a platform where you have something around 500,000 followers, which is a lot even here. Do you find that the TikTok is something works the best in your, like, let's say, channel strategy or the thinking about where you're rolling your content? Because I also find your Instagram account. You have also Twitter, or nowadays X account. What is the
Threads, everyone.
Threads? Sorry, I always forgot. You know, there is a funny story. We don't have a Threads in Europe.
No way.
Yeah.
They haven't launched it there.
Yeah, and the most funny thing is that I was expecting that when me going to Australia, I would be able to install finally Threads. But my
App Store
still remember the origin position, and
it's so annoying. Every time I'm traveling, I can't even download like the local food delivery app
because you are
really, there's no Threads.
There is some mess up shit with European Union. Anyway,
so to answer your question, which is a good question. So as I said, I used to always post videos just because I loved it. No one used to watch them. When I was posting in high school, I didn't have any followers. When I was posting in university, I didn't have any followers.
At least your friends love it.
Well, yeah, because they were in it. Because I was filming them.
Okay.
So, but I didn't really care. And how it used to work back in the day, because I used to look up to so many big YouTubers, because YouTube was really big, 10 years ago. Still is today, but at the time that was like the sole video content creation platform. So when I was posting YouTube videos, as I said, no one was watching them because it's really hard to get discoverability on those platforms. There's so much content out there that you post a YouTube video and it can just fall out and die sometimes.
True.
So what was so wild about TikTok when that came out and I posted a video is that platform would serve it to people and people would start watching. And it didn't matter if you had a big following, if you had 0 followers. If you had a good video,
you can just blow up.
You can blow up. And that's what happened. And I think that was the magic of TikTok and still is to this day, where it doesn't matter, everyone has an even playing field. And if you have good content, the platform will find that and serve it to an audience and create an audience. So I think...
Actually, remember the day? You mentioned that the day where you probably went to sleep and woke up with, 1 million views on the day or something like that. Was it like that? Like some of the videos?
Yes, it was. I posted... It was probably the second week I was on the platform. Maybe the second week or the third week. And I posted a video. Honestly, I can't remember what it was, but I remember waking up the next day. And honest to God, I woke up the next day and I had 100,000 followers.
Wow.
Yeah.
Through the night.
Yeah.
Wow. Magic happened. Yeah. It's not going to happen on Instagram anymore in any ways. I mean, like, I don't judge Instagram. I like it, but it's not going to happen, these kind of blow-ups anymore.
Look, I love Reels and I use Reels and I think it's a great platform, but I know that I wouldn't even have the success on Reels if it wasn't for TikTok. And I think Reels know that as well because Reels started after TikTok.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And then now, there's Shorts as well. And Snapchat Spotlight. Oh my God, there's so many things. Do they have Snapchat Spotlight?
We don't have that much Snapchat anymore.
No way.
Yeah. It was popular like 5 years ago or something like that when it was blowing in States. There was this, if you remember, there was this stage that they were able to sell it to Meta. They didn't.
Oh.
And then after that, the Instagram started copying with everything like a story.
Right, like stories.
Yeah. And then kind of Snapchat died in Europe. And now they're surviving a bit with the youngest audience.
I love Snapchat. I do.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that, it's the same as Europe, maybe. It's not that big in Australia, but there are some markets where it's huge. India, it is very big.
Okay.
And even in the US, actually,
Yeah,
Snapchat is quite big there.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
it is dependent on the markets there. But I do find that TikTok, which is banned in India, so people can't watch my content in India, unfortunately.
Is it banned like it's an actual thing or it's banned?
Yeah, it's banned. Like you cannot.
Yeah, but how long is
Since
that?
the beginning.
Since the beginning.
I think since around like the COVID time when TikTok was popping.
Okay.
India, I think because of all the China stuff cut ties. So yeah, you can't use it there. So that's why I think maybe they use some of the other platforms as well. But yeah, I find that TikTok is just one of those sure things.
Isn't it sometimes so crazy when you have that many platforms, like where to put what? Oh, did you? I mean, like.
Well, for me, okay, look. There are some people who, like, their content works across all platforms. For me, I find it a little bit different. Like, I think that my skits and the stuff with my parents stuff does really well on TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
And I find that on Instagram, people are more interested in me and my life. Like, people, maybe because of the stories features and the DMs features, but I post a lot more about me personally.
What's happening during the day?
Yeah, like what am I doing? What did I eat for lunch?
Oh yeah.
What's in my beach bag? No, I would never post that. But yeah, just more stuff about me versus on TikTok. I think people just love more the characters and they love to see my mom and Auntie Apana and Priya and that's more the story built on TikTok.
Yeah. That's true. And also like the Instagram, I find out that nowadays for a lot of people it's kind of website of you. Like there are not many websites anymore of young creators, but if you
not even a website, I feel like it's your resume these days.
Oh yes, yeah.
Don't you think?
Yeah, true. Like
I
you wanna employ me, check my life. There is like 3 years in a row.
Exactly. So my advice as well that I will say to any content creators who are listening is utilize your pin posts because you can pin 3 posts at the top of your feed and
tells a lot.
Emulate what you want to put out there, for sure. Because at the end of the day, people will look on your Instagram when they want to work with you, when someone's told them about you, and whatever's at the top is what they're going to have the assumption. For me, it's sugar, spice, and basmati rice. But yeah, definitely it is your resume these days.
Yeah, that's true. What about the X? I found out that you are using it as well, maybe helping as the exposure of your TikTok or Instagram content, or what is the strategy behind X of your channel, or you put your ideas during the day there or things like that?
Look, not as much. Definitely when I was younger, I used to use it a lot more. Now I more use it to consume content, just to sort of keep up with whether it's politics, whether it's government, whether it's even just like live television. I feel like a lot of stuff happens there. I don't engage as much with X these days. I have been interested in Threads. I feel like a lot of people in Australia and America, we all downloaded it the first couple weeks and then we kind of fell off a little bit. But I am very interested to see where they take the platform, and I'm open-minded, and I do dabble on there every now and then. But there's a lot of work that I think could be done with Threads, and I think they know that too, and they're making a lot of those changes.
Yeah.
Do you use X much?
Not that much, but a lot of my friends do, especially when they are somehow pros in kind of industry where they can share their thoughts about marketing or politics and actual situation happening. But I'm more like a consumer than producer.
But do you prefer video content or do you prefer like...
Good question. I fall in love with TikTok because I love the real-timeness of the algorithm. Like when you wake up and you feel, okay, I just want to see some funny stuff, then you see the funny stuff. When I'm having coffee after lunch and I want to see more stuff about AI, then I just stop a couple times on the AI stuff and then the AI stuff rolling. It's something what I'm missing about Instagram anymore. Like the algorithms take ages to actually change a bit the behavior. But also what I like about Instagram, to don't be like that I'm the TikTok side, so the Instagram side. No, I understand that's different. I like the aestheticity and, like a fashion and cars and all these like nice pictures on the Instagram.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, I'm using both. But
Yeah.
for learning and entertaining, I found out that the TikTok works better for me.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree completely.
Yeah, but when something happening, like bad stuff, like wars, Ukraine, or nowadays what's happening Palestine/Israel, I'm trying to check X and finding out some interesting people having interesting opinions to realize what's actually happening, because media is sometimes messy.
Yeah.
What is actually another question what I have, because as you became kind of powerful, like it was in Spider-Man movie, like more power, more responsibility, you know what I mean? Did you find out that you will have some kind of, let's say, educational or any other role, like more serious role for your audience, where you, for example, would comment political situation, or I don't know, any kind of problem against hate speeches or things like that? Did you find out your position did that too, or more like still focusing on entertaining and leaving?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, I definitely do think that I do want to sort of just be a happy space, and I make comedy content. Like, I want to make people happy, and I want people to be able to enjoy my content and sort of tune out. There are a lot of things that sometimes I do address that are closely linked to what I post about comedically. A lot of the stuff being sort of like the treatment of South Asians in Australia, all around the world as well. Just minorities, diversity, inclusion, because at the end of the day, that is why I post these comedy videos, because I just want more representation out there. I want people to learn more about my country and my culture, and how there's just so much diversity to India and South Asia in itself. So when issues pop up that sort of surround that, I do speak on them. But for the most part, I do like to keep everything
positive.
Well, not positive, but just, make sure that my channel is that sort of safe space and a place to tune out and enjoy and smile and laugh if you ever sort of want to get away from that, because there's so much content online, and, people are consuming so much where it's just like, oh my God. So yeah, as I said, I do enjoy being that space.
Yeah, I wasn't wanted to sound like that it's necessary to always keep some kind of serious topics in the content when you have...
People do DM me. They will DM me and be like, why haven't you spoken about this? Why haven't you said anything about this? And then I'm just like...
yeah, just let me do my stuff and do that. Yeah, I get you. I was wondering.
Well, there's so many other people who are talking, like, go over there, ask, see what they're thinking about. I'm just, tell jokes. Yeah.
I find out some content when you actually react to some hate situation, but I like about it that you actually react to the situation what happens directly to you. So it was like your personal experience with something, and you were expressing about what you don't like about it. It was kind of collaboration with some FMCG company. It was Rexona, was it? And you did like a football goalie, like a soccer goalie, and there was some hate speech regarding this kind of old-fashioned thinking, how the soccer goalie should look like and things like that.
You've done your research. You have.
I just I just fall over the content.
I forgot about that one. I was like, oh yeah.
Yeah, and then you step up and you said, okay, guys, so see what people actually reacting, and then do you feel? And I like it that you just put the spotlight on it, and you actually let the people judge it by themselves, because I found out that after you did it, there were so many positive comments around like, hey guys, stop say this shit.
Yeah. Well, so for people who don't know, basically I did a collaboration with a antiperspirant company for the soccer, like the World Cup that was down here. And it was amazing. I had such a fun day. I was in the stadium. I had a full like soccer gear on, and I was playing, and it was so much fun. And, at the end of the day, we were promoting antiperspirant. And yeah, when it got posted, as a lot of people within the ad world know, there's something called boosting and ad spend. And when people select their demographics of who they want to boost the video to, I personally think that the demographics selected were not the right ones, because the video ended up in diehard like soccer fans who were kind of like, who are you? What are you doing? Get off my screen. You shouldn't be playing the sport. And yeah, it was just pretty wild. I mean, at the end of the day, I think I can handle that stuff, but I have created a community online, and I don't want, especially young people, sort of seeing that rhetoric on a video that has my face on it.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I guess the broader conversation agency-wise, and I'm sure you can speak to this too, is just get your demographics together when you are putting that out, because just because I'm in a soccer video doesn't mean directly correlate to soccer fans. Like you have to sort of look at it and see what you're sort of going for. But yeah, I definitely called it out, and I'm very glad that the brand as well reached out, and they were very
yeah. I found it out that it was like actually a nice example when well handled, because nowadays we have so many like wrong examples of collaboration between influencers and brands. Some of them went super wild, like Budweiser in United States, and things which were crazily wrong, even from the agency side, even from the brand side. But firstly, I wanted to ask you how you see actually the collaborative scene between influencers and brands here in Australia. If you feel like it's so well developed and people are tagging, they are transparent about the collaboration, everyone's tagging like it's paid partnership and all these things.
Good question. Maybe you can tell me how it works in other places of the world, but I feel like in Australia, we are like held to the fire. Like we do have to disclose, as we should. I think that is correct. But when I see people in the US as well, and sometimes even in the UK, I'm kind of like, you haven't disclosed this as an ad. Like you've written maybe like, you know, Coca-Cola partner or something like that. But you know, we have a lot of strict things that we have to put in the caption, that we have to flag, like when we post on the platform. So, yeah, I don't know.
Which is correct, yeah.
Which I thought that was a global thing. Is it maybe not in
it's not it's not a funny story, because there are like markets, even my market in Czech or Middle Europe, where like everyone know it's wrong to do not disclose, but they are trying to find out different way how to do it, which is kind of halfway, you know, hashtag partnership or hashtag something.
Yeah.
And the thing what they are afraid of, because they find it out that, for example, Meta or Instagram doing this, that when you are actually put their official paid partnership, they lower the organic spread, the exposure.
I'm giving eyes to the camera, by the way, just while he's saying that.
Yeah. So that's why they are trying to do a different way how to do it, to make it like it was flagged, but in different way, which is still in European Union, it's hard to actually put it to the laws.
Which, you know what, I completely understand that, and I get why people do that, because I have spoken to people who have said the same thing in terms of the video performance once they have flagged it as a paid partnership. But I do think that it should be just something across the board that we all have to follow. And if one person is doing it, everyone has to do it. And that counts from up to the top, whether it's Kylie Jenner or Ronaldo, down to the very bottom. And I think everyone should have the same ways that they need to disclose.
Yeah, definitely. What we're trying now in Europe is actually to put it into the contracts, like to have in every single brand.
Well, here it is in our contracts. It is.
Yes.
Yeah.
In our ones, it's kind of like
because it's in the law here. Like it is now.
It needs to be flagged, but it's in law that needs to be flagged like a paid partnership, or is it also okay to put there just like a hashtag like ad or something? Because that's the game what in Europe happening nowadays. Like everyone knows that it needs to be somehow flagged, but it's not exact. Like you have many different ways how you can flag it.
I don't know the exact law, but for us, I know that like hashtag ad is just sort of the benchmark.
Okay.
And that is sort of almost written into all the contracts. Okay. And I'm assuming it's written into the contracts because the agency or the brand doesn't want to get in trouble, so they've looked into it themselves. But yeah, definitely something that we do in Australia, and I noticed that Australians do a lot more than people in other markets around the world.
Yeah, that's a good thing, and it could be a good example for other.
But I do think that the videos in Australia are better as well. I feel like we are very creative here.
That's true.
I find that a lot of them sometimes overseas that I see when I engage with other people are just sort of like, I love drinking water. This is my water. Love this water. Use my discount. Hashtag water.
Yeah, this is what...
Whereas, like, you know, I do a skit and I love to be creative. And, like, I'm not saying me, but I'm saying a lot of other people that I watch and engage with here in Australia do the same thing. Whereas, yeah, I find that a lot of people overseas just sort of like water.
Yeah, but the truth is, it's not just the influencers or content creators' fault. Because as I'm working with some brands, I know that sometimes it also needs that the brand has to have a balls to let the content creator or influencer do his or her job. So it happens like some of my friends who are influencers or content creators and have these collaborations, like when the brands comes to them and they exactly says them what to do, and it's sometimes things like that. Like just tell this is the line, this is it.
Send those to me, please. I want those kind of deals, please.
Yeah, and I know it's not working anymore. Even like because people are already full of these things and they just skip it. Yeah, because they, yeah. But yeah, you're right. You are really creative here, guys, and it's a good example. I'm also thinking when you mentioned about the States, back in time in United States was also really common that when the brand has some huge collaboration with influencer or with someone famous, it started like a silent thing. Like, do you remember, for example, the Oscars where the people taking a picture, like a selfie with some
The selfie with like Ellen?
Oh yeah, or something like that. But it was all like that. Nobody actually knows if was it paid or not, if was the accident or not. So they kind of made the campaign starting with this thing and they think behind it.
What was the campaign in the end?
I remember the one which was Samsung campaign where all the actors just did some kind of Oscar selfie together, and it was like a kind of secret commercial to the phone and to the wideness of the
Really?
things like that. But it seems in all news seems like it was just
Was it a Samsung?
Samsung, yeah,
It was.
yeah. So and most of the people thought that this was just accidentally made selfie of.
I thought it was an accident, but now that you're saying that, I'm kind of like, now I'm thinking about it.
Yeah.
And here we are 20 years later, pretty much from that selfie.
Oh yeah, that's true. Do you have any kind of like let's say area where you would never collaborate with the kind of brand? Like, would you do, for example, alcoholic brand, or would you do like or where is the line? Things of what to not to do? And
look, all the brands that I work with do have to make sense for me, and they have to be something that I'm actually interested in and that engage me. So that's one part of it. And the second part of it is that the way that they want to promote the product as well has to align with how I do things. So it does have to go through both tiers. If it doesn't cross those, then no, it's not something that I would generally do. But yeah, I guess it's all just sort of case by case basis. But as I said, like now I'm sort of at that stage where definitely I will only work with brands that fit into my values and morals and who are open to my style of content creation and me being open to theirs.
Nice. Does it ever happen that somewhere in the middle of process they try to push you to something and you had to be like, guys, stop, like that's not me, it's not gonna work, like just try to listen me how to do it?
For sure, all the time.
Yeah.
I find that I think it's getting better and better, and I feel like as brands and companies are starting to realize like, okay, we need dedicated social media teams. Our old school marketing team can't just run the TikTok channel.
Oh yeah.
Barbara, who's been doing outdoor bus ads all her life, can't be, on the For You page.
Yeah.
But yes, I do think that sometimes there are a lot of moments where I'd be halfway through a campaign or I'd be finished and sending them the final product, and they'll be like, oh no, this can't work here, we need this corrected. And I'm all for fixing it and making it better and sort of fitting it in. But then there are some cases where it just doesn't make sense and it's not going to perform well. And I want to get results at the end of the day for the company. So if it's something that I know that we're already just setting each other up for failure, then maybe it's just not going to work out. So yeah, because I want to do the best job and I want to get the conversion, the views, and the sales that you want. So if what you're spelling out to me, I know isn't going to match that, then
nice. When you say like that, I just start thinking, if you have any brand you love that much that you would be able to become a part-time member of the marketing team. Like imagine if, for example, Porsche will come to you and it will be like, Jeremy, we really want you.
Jeremy, we want to hire you.
Yeah.
Look, I mean, I have worked with Netflix for a little bit now, and I absolutely love working with them. And I think what's so good is that there's so much creativity because they have so many different titles. So if it is an action title, the way that you can be creative around that is so amazing. If it is, something fantasy, if it is reality TV, there's just so many different ways that I think I would love to splash my mind into and sort of work that, because I think, it's so much fun, and I love what they do sort of globally and here in Australia.
Yeah. I also like your collaboration with the MG Cars, because I found out I literally see the pattern between like your content and you just use the way how you actually entertain people with the commercial, and it was really funny. So
yeah, so just making sure that you've got that sort of like spin of like what fits well with you, what they want, and then just sort of merging it together. And I loved it.
You should write some kind of brief template for the brands. Like these things you mentioned could be like a brief template for the brands. Like, guys, use this brief when you are briefing like content creators. Like,
well, you know, I will say something that brands are doing now, which I think like abort, is that they think, because everyone's been telling them you're doing the briefs wrong. You're giving creators too many things they need to follow. Exactly what you just said. And now they're going the extreme opposite, and they're saying, make whatever you want. Do whatever you want to do. And that doesn't work. Having too much freedom yeah, exactly. No goal. It just doesn't work. When people have said that to me, I'm like, what do you want me to promote? How do you want me to promote it? What's the end goal? Like, are we trying to get sales? Are we trying to promote a campaign, a season, a product? Like, don't go the extreme opposite just because everyone's saying like, oh my God, no, people aren't getting it. They're forcing all of this. That's fine. Definitely water it down, but do not just say like, make whatever you want, because that stuff doesn't work. And I'm noticing that quite a bit, that people are doing that. And I'm like, guys, stop.
No, yeah.
Stop. Yeah. Because yes, I mean, sure, like people can make good content by that regard, but on your side, what's it for? Like, what are we just making content just to make content? No, like, let's figure out like what your goals are and what you want to promote or do, or why you're getting a content creator in the first place. What do you want them for? And then go from there.
Yeah. It's kind of also a homework up to that, because some of the marketing team just even didn't realize before like what is the role of the influencer marketing in the whole mix. They just wanted to have someone on the social media, like, and they don't even have a goal behind like what is the role of the influencer marketing with the other channels there. And I also find out that what's happened nowadays around me is that when company wants to be on a TikTok, but they don't want to invest to the content production on the TikTok, they just try to find out some influencer and then like, we will send you all the products and do our TikTok for us. And you have this kind of freedom and just do it for us. But it's interesting because it's labeled and it's under the company profile. Like imagine, for example.
Oh, is that what UGC is? I don't know much about the
UGC. But the kind
UGC
of world. Yeah, but UGC world, I see that when you actually let the people, not necessarily content creators, but all kind of people produce a content for you, and it's from all different sources, yeah. But this kind of strategy of doing TikTok and paying just the influencer for it, it's more like that. Imagine you have, for example, I don't know, Nivea profile, and you have one person who is doing the videos on the Nivea profile, some kind of influencer who has or she has her own profile too, but doing this profile for the
like
brand
over and over again.
and over and over and over again.
Do you think that works?
No,
Me neither.
no. But
And you know why? You know why it doesn't work? Because when that person leaves and they quit,
and game
then no one's going to watch the content, because a lot of small businesses do that. They hire, and I noticed this a lot in the US when I was just there. They will hire someone to run their TikTok page, and that person will post and they'll be like, hey, blah, 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 and they'll make good content. And then the second that person moves to another role or leaves, their engagement drops because they realize people were following for that person. So yeah, don't ever make someone the face of your content, definitely. I mean, definitely.
At least if it's a CEO or something like that.
I mean, definitely, like, I do think that working with content creators long-term is good, but definitely mix in other content and different strategies and other forms of UGC and all of this stuff. Don't just rely heavily on like one face. Unless like Duolingo, like the owl, that can work.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's a good example. I'm just thinking about what is your favorite examples on TikTok or Instagram, because I remember when you got your keynote on the TikTok event, you mentioned Rainer, but Rainer became kind of evergreen of whatever you ask anyone what brand likes on TikTok. Most of the people says Ryanair, even here, even in Europe.
See, but what I think is funny about that is that people say that they all love Ryanair, but no one wants to copy that model, because how do you brief that to your marketing manager and say, oh, we're going to make fun of people and troll people online, and if they complain to us, we're going to be like, we don't care.
Oh, yeah.
So I think that's something that will turn around eventually, and then every brand's going to start doing it. That's going to be boring in the end. But I do think that that form of just being silly online works so well, and a lot of people don't understand that that actually makes people want to engage with that brand a lot more.
Oh, yeah.
Because people have seen the Ryanair stuff where people are like, oh my God, my flight was so awful, and they'll be like, too bad. And it's just funny. Like I think that's actually quite funny. And yeah, I think that eventually a lot of people will embrace that. But I do think that there are a lot of other brands that are doing really well, especially small businesses. I feel like if you are launching a small business, definitely utilize TikTok. And one of the biggest things is just take people on the journey. If you're launching a product, take them through every step of the way. And there are so many big businesses that have launched from that method. I know even just like food, I follow this brownie girl who lives in New Zealand. I follow this girl, her name's Britt Saunders. She like makes plus size clothes. I follow this guy, and he has a skincare company called Dew of the Gods. And I remember watching them from when they were like sketching out their products, and now the products are so successful. So it's not even just the big guys that are doing well from TikTok. Really, really utilize it to the best of your ability.
Cool. And do you remember any example of other one than the Rainer from the big guys who you like? What you would recommend to check the other, I don't know, agency guys like you like?
I said Duolingo was really good. I think they did really well to mesh themselves into sort of mainstream media with this owl, and the owl follows trends like that. And I think that Duolingo does really well hopping onto those trends really quickly. So that's a brand that I think does really good. And even here in Australia, I think Coles are quite funny. I remember because I did some work with them, and I remember chatting with the team, and they were on this like flat strategy where nothing was working. They were putting so much effort into videos. They were trying so many things, and nothing was working. And one day someone said, hey, what if we get those tiny hands, like very small, like Barbie hands, and just attach them to like different Coles products and like have them walk around the store. And I don't know how that got approved, but they posted that video, and that was one of their most successful videos.
Wow.
And they were like, we put so much effort into all of these things. So now if you go into Coles, like you'll see like they're quite silly on social media, but that was a big learning for them, because they thought we have to do all of these high production videos and be so proper. And when they realized, just being silly or having relatable, funny content is the way to go. Now I think that they are doing really well with that.
I love the example. And on the opposite side, do you have in your mind any kind of example of wrong collaboration, what went really bad here in Australia? Something like some campaign, what was, for example, I don't know.
Nothing for me, but I do notice that a lot of the luxury space, it's very hard, because if you think about, let's just say like luxury fashion, those big designers and stuff like that.
Like a Balenciaga.
Yeah, they're kind of scared to get on TikTok, I find, because as we just said, what does well is that sort of everyday amateur content filmed on your iPhone. But those companies have a status to maintain and a reputation, and they won't settle for something with a shaky camera or like a random influencer who just could have millions of followers, but they maybe don't have the aesthetic that they have. So it is quite tough, especially seeing them on the platform, because while a lot of them are trying to make this high production content, because yes, it fits their brand, it's just not going to perform well on that platform. So I don't even know what advice I would have for them. What advice would you give for that?
Yeah, I'm still thinking about it when you are talking about. And I remember that some of the brands, like, for example, Balenciaga, used to work with Kim Kardashian and these. So maybe I would try to somehow get into, I don't know, one day with her when she's collaborating on some, I don't know, new models. It's nothing special, but it could be like the experience going through. Actually, the experience what she's putting into the like series, the Kardashian series. So have a fragment on it to the TikTok.
Yeah.
Maybe can work. But yeah, it's tough one, because they are trying to do that kind of. But one thing I realize about the fashion brands nowadays, especially these French ones, they are trying to do some kind of disruptive, super distinctive content. Like having, for example, someone on the mountains where it's snowing with swimmers and swimming glasses.
Like shot
and-
by production or?
Yeah,
Wow.
but in this crazy kind of like distinctive combination, what you would never expect, and branded. Like, I don't know, branded scuba diving mask with Balenciaga style, Prada, or who did it.
That's good advice. I would say that is a very good tactic now that you say it, because if they can't do the sort of everyday relatable content, get something that people are going to stop scrolling for. So yes, if you are scrolling down your feed and you see that,
And
you might be like, high quality, but you might be like, wait, what's going on there?
Yeah.
So actually that is quite good advice.
And another one, what comes to my mind, but it's not necessary for the fashion brands or luxury brands. I really love nowadays trends of fake out of homes.
Oh, those AI ones?
Yeah.
Oh, God, I've seen so many.
Yeah,
of those.
like Jacquemus actually do.
Jacquemus did really well.
Oh yeah, like.
But but do you think that now it's starting to get a bit overdone? I feel like everyone's doing them now.
That's true. But they are still popping out some of these. I think
They are done very well. To the point where you're like, is that real?
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, like, the ones which performs the well are the ones where you need to stop thinking about, is it real or not?
Yeah.
Because nowadays Samsung did something like with the hand on the lift, like it's like a skiing lift, and there is like a gum hand.
No way.
Scrolling a big watches, and it looks so realistic that you're thinking like, was it even cheaper to do it in real than this?
Well, I think that's the stuff that does well. The stuff that people watch over and over again, because you want to watch it over and over again, because you're like zooming in, you're like, wait, is that there? So
yeah.
The more people engage with the video, I think the better it performs.
Yeah. And that's maybe another question actually to your content. Back to your content.
Isn't me?
Yeah, back to you. Because I'm wondering about, isn't it so difficult when you're already doing the content for years to bring a new ideas and still be somehow, because I understand that the life brings you new situations, what you can use for it, but still it's
people ask this to me all the time. I have years and years of trauma with my parents. I've lived with them all my life because I was just actually saying to you before we started that I'm going to be moving out soon because I live with my parents. And as I said, I post a lot of content about my parents, and people are like, you can't move out? Like, how are you going to make videos? Like, how are you going to get ideas and get content? I was like, I have all my life memories that I'm like trying to push out of my head. I'm not falling short of that. But that's just one way that I find inspiration for my content. The other way is just being on the platform. Like, and you might think that that's an obvious thing to say, but it's actually not. I know so many content creators who don't actually like scroll on TikTok, who don't actually engage and like know who other content creators are. They just go on there and they make their videos and post them and then jump off.
That's interesting.
So for me, I engage on the platform a lot. So I see what people are posting, what people are interested in, and it gives me inspiration because if I see a video, I'm like, oh, that's quite funny. Like, I think I would have a funny take on that. So yeah, I would say just being on the platform, being on all different types of platforms is definitely something that gives me ideas to make more content. And as I said, I love what I do, so I get excited too.
That's a good, wow. I'm just thinking that that's another good thing about TikTok, that there are so many trends which could be adaptable by many different ways. So if you already have your like creative identity by the content what you're creating, you can always find out the way how you will actually use the trend differently.
Yeah, like always put your own spin on it. Always make it authentic to you, and I think that is the best way to not only just have success, but to build your own brand. Because a lot of people will just copy a trend exactly how it's done. They'll see a video and they'll be like, I'm going to copy this. And sometimes it actually works for them. Sometimes they'll get millions of views, but it's not going to build them a community. And like at the end of the day, it's not going to get them longevity on the platform. Exactly. Like, sure, you'll just get the number. And if that excites you, go ahead. But if you want to pursue it, like definitely put your own spin on it, have your own authenticity, your own flair, and that's how you'll build a community on the app.
Is it hard for you to nowadays to grow? Because my friends who are content creators like you, that always said that there is some kind of point or the time in the growing time where it starts becoming slower and slower because you're already big. So it's hard to get new audiences, or it's even hard to like engage that much with already big audiences. Do you feel you already reached that point, or it's still somehow growing?
Not for me. I hear that from people as well, but I don't think that's the case. I really don't think it's like a ceiling that you hit on the app and then they just stop putting your stuff out. I just think once you get to a certain level, you just start getting busier and you start pursuing other opportunities, and you start not getting bored, but you just are looking for more inspiration in terms of new ways to film content. So the growth that you were having maybe is just not there because you've shifted a little bit.
Okay.
So I don't think that there's like this ceiling that like once you hit 1 million followers, you'll just start growing slower. I just think really it is just the way that people grow and change their stuff. And it's happened with me. Like I have definitely switched up the way that I do things. I like, instead of, I used to post every single day. I used to post on TikTok every single day.
Wow.
I used to set up my tripod. I would balance my phone on it and I would film 1 million different videos. And it did really well. But then I started to want to do more in terms of adding more production value. So now I do less videos, but I put more effort into them, and I will think about them more, and I'll have more editing and production behind them. So sure, I'm not growing as much as I did when I was posting every single day, but that's okay because I'm enjoying what I'm posting and I'm feeling happy and inspired with what I'm putting out. And as well, like, you can't just keep chasing growth. You have to nourish the audience that you've put together. I was saying this to a friend yesterday, actually. Very, very grateful. I've gotten to a stage sometimes where people come up to me in public, which is so wild to me. And I've noticed in the last few months, I've had that a lot more. And that's not because I've grown hugely. I definitely haven't in the last few months, but I think it's just because I've been making a lot more engaging content with the audience that I already have, and people who are already following me, maybe just just feeling more part of the community. And that's definitely something that I value more than just the big number.
Oh yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Regarding that, actually, in Europe became so popular using kind of paywall to have like a heart of the community somewhere where you can interact even more than just
like within Instagram and stuff, or like on
a
platform.
Yeah, sometimes it's part of the Instagram, then using the subscription, but most of them start using things like a Patreon.
Or OnlyFans. Can we say that yet?
Yeah. Some girls I heard.
He heard, yeah. He's heard about it. Yeah.
There's my girlfriend sitting behind us.
Yeah.
I heard about.
We'll check his search history later, don't worry.
Yeah. So it became so popular actually to move, let's say, the heart of the community or the most like biggest fans to some place where you can more communicate direct, where you can more interact. And they paying for it like every single month or subscription months and things like that. And it's a new like big source of money for a lot of content creators, especially the ones who do YouTube and stuff where they can like move, I don't know, couple thousand people. And it's quick math. Like imagine when couple thousand people gives you, I don't know, $10 every single month. It makes like a big difference. Have you ever think about that? If it doesn't make sense in some kind of your long-term thinking, or
look, I'm not going to say never because you just never know. But as of right now, I really just love everyone who follows me, and I can't imagine, charging them. But if it is something that people want and they want more content, something that I would need to take out more of my time or money to produce, then for sure I would be open to it. But as of now, I think that I see more value in just getting those super fans together in one place, just to engage with them more. And I know that Instagram has the feature, the broadcast channel feature. They have that in. So I think that's an awesome way, because at the end of the day, I have a friend, she's a creator. Her name's Zana, and she's in stand-up comedy. And the way that she sells her tickets and stuff is by selling to those super fans. So she has the Patreon, she has those small things, and she knows for sure people who have joined her Patreon, people who have joined her broadcast channels are the ones who are probably going to buy tickets to her show. So it definitely is quite valuable on both People know Anna Paul and Michaela Testa. They're one of the biggest ones here. And they are huge on TikTok. They just make your everyday regular TikTok content. But they also have OnlyFans, and they are in their early 20s, and they have more money than who knows I will have one day, and good on them.
It's a $1 billion business, but I heard that the initial idea was more like a Patreon thing. Like the initial idea of OnlyFans
Well, do you know who Nick Kyrgios is?
Oh, no.
He's a Australian tennis player. He was in the Wimbledon Grand Final, I think, 2 years ago. So he's quite good. Very controversial, though, actually, I shouldn't think. But he is still playing, and he just joined OnlyFans. And everyone is like, oh my God, like, you're a professional tennis player. But he's like, no, I'm just going to be posting in my workouts and me playing tennis. And
that was the initial idea of OnlyFans, actually. Yeah, but then some porn stars came. Things get wild. And nowadays it's more like, I heard there's something like, as you mentioned, that our Instagram is kind of our CV or something. That would be definitely have you ever had OnlyFans check website for some kind of applying positions? It's definitely...
Don't put on your link tree.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't judge, like, whatever people wants to.
Hey, I want some of that money. Maybe one day. Anyone want to pay me for, like, feet content? I'll go for it.
Yeah.
You don't want to see these feet.
Yeah. It's actually, I'm thinking about, as you mentioned, OnlyFans. Is there any new, like, social network or something, like a kind of new project what comes to your mind that you've seen in last months and you think that it could be some kind of rising star? Because in Europe, became popular Be Real, which is kind of French something.
Be Real. Oh, I'm getting flashbacks.
Yeah. It's not that new, but it's became popular now, actually. I don't know why. It might be like people just tired about sharing on the stories they want to share in smaller stories.
Wow. No, it was very big here at the start of last year, I'd say.
Yeah.
And I think we were all using it, and then we all stopped using it because I think that at the end of the day, there was just no way to get any growth from it. It was hard to maintain, and
True.
Yeah, there just wasn't much excitement happening because then you just realize, like, oh, my life's kind of boring. And they also didn't curate it very well. Like, for example, I remember on New Year's Eve, the Be Real, we were all ready for it because, New Year's Eve's a big night. What are we all doing? What's everyone doing on New Year's Eve? And it went off at like 10 in the morning. And we were like, what wasted potential? This should have gone off at midnight. I think, they just didn't think about it very well. But in terms of what's new and what's interesting, I do think that just what some of the existing platforms are doing are going to be taking off very soon. I do think that YouTube Shorts is going to have a very big moment for sure. And I also think we're going to shift back to long form content, back on YouTube and go back to those long form things. And Snapchat Spotlight for sure. I mentioned before. I think I'm very interested by it, just by the whole Snapchat side of things. I don't know too much about it, but I'm very interested in engaging with it because I'm sure you know some of those big creators like David Dobrik and stuff. Like his biggest income now, he said, is from Snapchat. And a lot of these big creators have now come out and said, I now make more money on Snapchat than I do on any other platform.
And there were also some really interesting campaigns and activations from the brand through the Snapchat. Like I remember one of the campaigns who comes to my mind like 5 years ago was US Snapchat campaign from Netflix with Stranger Things, which was AR gates. Like imagine like that you used like an AR filter that you could actually make kind of like a door, like a virtual door.
Wow!
You just could went through it, and you were in the room of the Stranger Things like series and things like that. And it was even before. Nowadays it's AR more. Like,
people do that a lot.
Yeah, but the Snapchat was like really first in these things and technologies, and it's predicted.
I wonder if people do like brands, like branded stuff on Snapchat. I wonder.
Yeah, me too, because I'm not using that much anymore, and that's what I wanted actually to ask you. What is the behavior of Snapchat users here in Australia? If is it still like it used to be, like just quick pictures of
I think that's still the culture here. I use it. I'm not ashamed to say I love Snapchat. I still use streaks. You remember Snapchat streaks?
No.
It was you get like a little sticker if you send a Snapchat every single day.
Oh yeah.
Sticker. But yeah, I think that's more the culture here. A lot of the creators that I know don't really use it in terms of the public side of things, because obviously you can have a public Snapchat or a private Snapchat, which is just with your friends. I have a public account, but I don't really know how to use it.
Okay.
Maybe because I don't know many people here who can show me how to use it. Maybe because the presence of the Snapchat team in Australia here is not that big, you know, whereas with TikTok and Meta and even YouTube, they all reach out and they want to work with us. But yeah, Snapchat, I'm interested. I just don't know how to use it.
Yeah, me neither. So maybe if anyone from the
Snapchat, please, we want to hop on. But also, I think in terms of the branded side of things, I don't think that, again, I don't know how to use it, so I could be wrong. But are there insights on Snapchat? Like, if someone did do a brand deal on Snapchat, could they share their insights and the reach and the gender and the region? Do they have those features? I literally don't know.
Yeah, me neither. Yeah, but it's actually a good
And who's paying you? Like, is it, you know, like with TikTok, there's the TikTok Creator Fund. With Reels, they have like a Reels program. Like, how does it work with Snapchat?
Oh, yeah.
How is David Dobrik, if you're listening, how are you making money on Snapchat? Tell us.
First, hopefully David Dobrik listening. And
he is for sure listening.
Yeah. He's actually coming, I believe his family coming from Czechoslovakia because his last name is definitely mid-Europe.
Oh,
yeah, I know he's lived in States.
Yeah, I think he's Slovenian.
Yeah, I believe he's Slovakia, but not big difference. I mean, like, you know, Europe, it's we all are close to each other, but we just don't understand each other. So yeah, it's funny. That's something what I try to explain because a lot of friends here asking me like, why are you so in love with Australia? I was like, I love the diversity here. I love the opportunities around, even like weather and vibe and things like that. And then like, what? Wait, you are in the middle of Europe. You have pretty much everything around you. And I was like, no, it's not that easy, man. Like every country, different language, every country, different food, different taste, different ideas, different politics, different culture, history, blah, 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 blah. It's like a crazy puzzle which is not working together that much. So
Australia is good. And as I said, the diversity, I mean, people say, you know, yeah, you can be next door to things, but even just, I find even something as simple as Asian food. I think the Asian food in Australia is the best in the world. I've been through Europe. I've tried I've tried all the Asian food in Europe, all in America, even in Asia. But here you can get the best Thai food next to the best Vietnamese food, and it's so authentic. And I think Australia is just really good.
Okay.
Shout out to Australia.
Shout out to Australia.
And you too, David Dobrik.
One of my last questions is like, if you have any kind of vision of all this, what you are doing now, because I know that you are kind of into fashion. You are part of the fashion weeks and things like that. Also, like you do.
I'm a model. That was what I'm
saying. Yeah, that's what I want to say. Now, like, is there any kind of end game? What do you see nowadays, or like a vision? Like, what is your?
Yeah, good question. I mean, here's the thing with social media: tomorrow isn't promised. You know, you have a whole career that relies on an algorithm that you have no control over. So, doing what you can to diversify your income and get money from other income streams is always the focus.
Yeah.
For me, I'm really trying to pursue mainstream media, and I know a lot of those formats are dying, but there are some that are thriving. And I've been dabbling in television, in hosting. You know, I just hosted the TikTok Awards last week. In radio, I've been guest co-hosting on iHeartRadio. So doing as much as I can to solidify myself in mainstream media is where I see that going. I also tried stand-up comedy recently.
Nice.
Because I think that's also a natural progression of...
Did you like it?
It was terrifying.
So adrenaline, isn't it? Like, it's like...
Well, see, I love being up on stage. Like, you know, I love sort of live stuff, but definitely it's just the style of comedy that's different. You know, I've come from social media where I'm rehearsing the same jokes over and over and over again. I've written scripts until it's funny. And as well, I perform to an audience that knows me, that's seen my content, that lives in my little bubble. So when I did it in front of random people and I was saying the same jokes about my parents, they were kind of like, wow, your parents sound awful. Like, oh my God, like they sound mean. And I'm like, no, like this is just the vibe. This is what we do. So just doing what I can to sort of nail that down, because at the end of the day, I would love to do shows, but I want to do them to my audience. You know, I don't want to do
for random people.
Yeah, like open mics and stuff, which is amazing. People who do that have such great skills, but I want to perform for my audience and get up there. But yeah, I think that's sort of the end goal, which is just doing what I can to find avenues of income just outside of the algorithm. Because as we know with the algorithm, sometimes it's up, sometimes it's down, sometimes you're thriving, sometimes you're not. And just because you might have brands inquiring for you today doesn't mean you're going to in 2 years, in 5 years. And I think when I just go back to my parents, still wanting to be a doctor or a lawyer, the reason being is that there's just a lot more stability.
Okay.
Because, you know, you can go on forever. Whereas with this, as I said, tomorrow isn't promised. So
And that's cool.
just have to...
Out of the game, if you would be famous sport guy, that would be the same, but that wasn't be the algorithm, but it could be any kind of accident. Or
Okay, I'll be a famous sport guy or a famous model, as you
it's
said.
all like that.
I'll be a supermodel. I'll be on the cover of Vogue.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I mean, like, we pretty much went through a lot of stuff, and so thank you for being, like, energetic as always, and I really enjoyed this one. Is there something what you would like to say, except David Dobrik, that something what we forgot to mention or something?
No, I think just, as I said, it's amazing. I'm so grateful to be doing what I'm doing. And I think a lot of people look at this and they think it's so easy, and they think content creation is so easy and it's the dream job. And it for sure is. It definitely is. But every job is hard and every job has its stresses, and this is definitely one of them. And people ask me, and, you know, they come up to me and they say, I want to do TikTok. Like, I really want to do it. And then I go, just do it then. Just start. And no, like, what would I post? Like, I need to get it down. And it's like, here's the thing. Like, I love what I do. And if one person was watching me, if 1,000 people were watching me, if 1,000,000 people were watching me, if 0 people were watching me, I'd be posting the exact same things that I'm doing today. And you have to have that genuine love for creating content, and people who are just pursuing it because they see all the perks of it all, it generally doesn't work out for them. So yeah, like, if it is something that you are interested in, definitely think about why you're interested in it. And content should be at the center of that, just making content and putting things out there. So yeah, I'm very lucky what I do. And as I said, I just hope it continues.
Thank you. It was nice talking in the end. Okay, Jeremy, thank you so much again for coming.
Thank you for having me.
For sharing. It was so, like, I like the vibe. I hope that the people who are watching will enjoy the vibe with us. I know.
And if you're listening, just so you know, it's like 35 degrees in Sydney, Australia right now. We are in a cool room, kind of, but it is very, very hot outside. So not looking forward to stepping outside into that sun, because I'm going to be sweating.
Yeah, that's also for my friends in Europe who's now facing like 35 centimeters of snow.
I don't know what I'd rather.
Oh, yeah.
No, I wouldn't rather the snow. I'll stick with this.
No, you wouldn't. Okay. Okay, guys, thank you so much. Leave us some comment. Please feel free to follow us on all the social medias. No ads, no paywall. So all we need is your support and love through the likes and shares. And I would be happy to see you again in this Sydney special edition. And thank you so much. And thanks again, Jeremy, for coming.
Thank you for having me. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah. Cheers. Bye.